My amplified unit, wake up, get amplified. It's Elimination Chamber weekend. Tonight, Montreal will host SmackDown, and of course, the Chamber tomorrow. We're going to find out the future for Cody Rhodes real quick. It's all going to culminate tomorrow. And Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, their future trajectory. We're going to find out a lot more tonight and at the Chamber tomorrow. But before we get to that, you guys know this is a big numbers channel. Ratings, statistics, metrics. We talk about it all, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage, even though Rampage is becoming more and more non-existent by the week. But we talk all the numbers. So there was no way that we were not going to talk AEW's numbers this week. So while the Elimination Chamber is tomorrow night and the focus now shifts over to WWE, we can't fully do that on this channel before we talk about the obvious, before we get to the Chamber in WWE. Now, thanks to Brandon Thurston and the fine folks at WrestleNomics, they put together this awesome graph, so it makes it simpler for people like BC to talk about these numbers, these ratings, statistics, metrics with my audience and such. So thanks to WrestleNomics and the boys and gals over there. Now, you will see at Q1, right from the jump, you started the show with approximately 930,000 viewers. That tells you everything you need to know right there. Because usually, you start off with at least 1 million because you have a good lead-in on TBS with a popular show called The Big Bang Theory. So yeah, a lot of that's not even wrestling fans. They're watching Big Bang Theory, it ends, and they don't change the channel right away. I get it. Perfect opportunity, by the way, to get new fans, or maybe even lapsed fans, casual fans. Maybe they even forgot AEW's on, or there is another promotion. But it's a good opportunity to get fans to watch your show. Those first couple of minutes on any wrestling show are the most important, or at least just as important as the end of the show, which should be a cliffhanger that makes your audience need to tune in next week, not just want to. So the final several minutes of a show and the first minutes of a show, basically just as important. The problem with AEW is they don't treat either one important. You end the show with something like Ruby Soho just going, yeah, I win. And you start the show every single week with just a match out of nowhere. So if you're a lapsed fan, a casual fan, a new fan, you don't even know you're just starting with an 8-man tag mess last night. You're just starting with just 8 dudes in a circus sideshow. Now, if you're a diehard fan, especially of AEW, those are not words you want to hear. I loved it. I knew what was going on. Tony caters to us, the niche audience, BC. Well, that's where you have the problem. I have been saying this for weeks and even months. Again, some people chose to listen, and here we are today. BC was right all along. Some choose to turn the blind eye, and now they're forced with the fact that is hitting them in the mug. And that is even the tried and trues are turning away. You see, your tried and true audience for AEW was 850 to 950. That was the peak of their tried and true diehard fan base. Their niche audience was between 850 and 950. 950 being the peak. The rating this week for Dynamite was 824,000 viewers. They're no longer even at their niche audience. They have lost them and continue to lose them. 950 was the peak of their niche. 850 was the low end. They're now at 824. I can't put it in any other words. I can't be any more amplified. Well, maybe if I pound another coffee, I could be even more amplified in how I say it. But I don't know how many different ways, how many different languages I would need to say this. They are going backwards because the shows are a chore to get through. The shows, not even for their niche audience anymore. The shows are not good. I don't know how to say this. I'm trying to help AEW. I want to be able to watch I watched AEW last night for basically the entire 2 hours. Sadly, it's 2 hours I can't get fucking back. And it reminded me of all the years that Raw was so bad over the last 10 years. Because Monday Night Raw on Monday nights was a chore to get through for 3 hours every Monday. It's starting to show a pulse finally, thankfully, the past several weeks. It's starting to get a lifeline back, probably because of WrestleMania. Maybe Cody Rhodes, maybe it's a Sami Zayn bloodline storyline, maybe Bray Wyatt back, but it's starting to show a pulse. That's always a plus. Now it's AEW Dynamite. That is an absolute chore to get through. And at first it was just, the people out of the niche audience were the ones saying that, right? It's you guys. It caters to us, BC. But what we're starting to see with an 824,000 viewership for the rating, you are now starting to see that even the tried and trues don't give a fuck. They don't think they need to tune in, or they just don't want to anymore because they lost the bottom of their niche, the 850. You know, when you had that Jay Briscoe tribute show several weeks ago, and they broke 1 million by like 1,000 viewers or something like that. And we all knew why. We wanted to see what was happening with the Jay Briscoe tribute, long overdue. And it was botched by Warner anyway, but that's another story. So you get that. And it's a perfect opportunity with all these eyeballs. Even though it's under tragic situations and circumstances, you're going to have a big viewership. This is the chance to really captivate the audience. And Tony Khan put together the same type of fucking show. Match after match after match after match. There's no fucking rhyme or reason for anything. There's no storylines whatsoever. Not even MJF and Bryan Danielson have an actual storyline. There's nothing to grasp onto, to latch onto, to be on the edge of your seat for. So by the next week, you lost 100,000 viewers. They were at 901,000 the very next week. Not even close to their high end of their niche. They lost 50,000 of their niche at that point, the high end. And then last week they pull in 899. So they lost a couple more thousand and got into the 800s. Now people said, well, that's not that big of a drop though, BC. See? At least if they could just hang on. And BC's thinking, wow, is that what we're doing right now? Because Tony Khan is going out in interviews every single day, 10, 11 times a day, 10 to 11 different interviews. And Tony Khan, the AEW boss, is saying that lately he's putting on the best shows in the company's history, short history so far. The best shows consistently have been the past couple of months is what he's saying, but the ratings are going backwards. So they said, last week, it only went down a few thousand, BC, nothing big. Yes, they're in the 800s now, BC, and that's not good, but it's 1,000 away from 900,000. They'll be back, BC. So, okay, 1 week later, here we are, and they lost 75,000 more viewers, guys. 75. Last week, they only lost 2,000, no doubt. This week, 75,000. Same competition, by the way. A couple of NBA games, the MTV Challenge. It's the same competition every fucking Wednesday. There's always an excuse. It's always a big game or a holiday or a presidential speech. There's always an excuse, especially with the AEW fans. Stop with the excuses. There is no reason you shouldn't be beating the shit out of any NBA game. A league that is down 17% across the board and has been going down year after year for many reasons, by the way. And the MTV Challenges ratings have been cut in half by nearly 40% every single episode since the start of the season in October. Don't give me that shit that AEW cannot compete with MTV's Challenge and Johnny Bananas. Or that they cannot compete with regular season NBA games. Cut the shit, Tony. I ain't buying that. And you shouldn't either. So here we find ourselves, they lose 75,000 viewers. And there's somebody in the community that's been saying that every fucking week. Somebody that's been trying to help AEW. Somebody that wants to watch 2 hours on a Wednesday and love what I am watching. Need to tune in next week. Loving the storylines, seeing the character development and the larger-than-life stars being brought and presented to us. Seeing all of our favorites in there, and it's not happening. And last night, BC got to watch nearly the entire 2 hours I got to actually watch because I really wanted to see if maybe it's just BC not seeing something, right? Maybe it is something else to do with the ratings being so low. Nope, it's exactly what I thought. The whole 2 hours was a chore to get through. One of the rare times I'll agree with Eric Bischoff, who just said this earlier as well, and he said the same words. That was a chore. He said, I DVR'd it, watched it in the morning, and wow, that was a chore to get through, he said. He said that was painful to watch. I got to agree with the Bish man. I mean, it was bad. You have a show with Preston Vance, with Josh Woods, with Evil Uno challenging Mox for next week, with Ruby Soho in your main event. An 8-man circus sideshow starting the night off with no reason to tell your audience why you should stick around for 2 hours. No reason. You start the show just with a wild circus. And then you tell your audience what? Stick around for a triple threat women's match with Ruby, Tony, and Britt. And you know how high I am on Britt Baker. How respected Tony Storm is, or at least was. That has gone off the rails with Saraya, by the way. There's looks to be no interest in Tony Storm anymore, and maybe that has to do with Saraya being an anchor and tying her down, weighing her down. I have no fucking idea. But it seems like Tony Storm's momentum is totally gone than when she arrived in AEW. Ruby Soho, what the fuck? Tony Khan botched her 87 different times since she's been there, and now all of a sudden, there's a push to just drop the match to Hayter because they need somebody for Hayter. I don't understand. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, you say, BC, right? Well, everybody says give the women a chance, put them in the main event. That's like throwing people that can't swim into the Pacific Ocean and saying, good luck, you always wanted a chance to swim. Right, you probably want swimming lessons first, right? You want to start in a pool and then work your way into the ocean, especially if you can't swim. So you've been giving the ladies absolute jack shit. You haven't been giving them any care. You've given your audience no reason to give a fuck about the ladies. And then wham, on the spur of a moment, because WWE had a triple threat women's Raw main event. So 2 nights later, you throw 3 of your ladies into your main event and put them in that slot. You can't throw people out into the middle of the ocean who can't swim and expect them to swim flawlessly. There's going to be hiccups, roadblocks, there's going to be huge waves and sharks, I should say. You can't do that shit. So it was unjust what Tony did for the ladies there. You want to put them in the main event? Awesome. You got to build that shit up and give your audience a reason to give a fuck. And then you give the ladies just a bad show leading up to it. Or at least a not a good show. You're going to put Preston Vance in there with Roosh in a Texas Tornado tag match because you're in Texas. Newsflash, every single AEW tag match is a tornado match. Did you notice that? The referee has no fucking control, says a bunch of fucking words, waves his hands like he's doing the Macarena, and nobody pays attention to the Joe Schmo. He's the fucking jackass. Fucking sipping on the Capri Suns at the lunch table in school, right? It's the same situation the ref finds himself in. Just now on a fucking spotlight's on him. He's in the middle of a ring on Dynamite. But he's still the same fucking lame ass with his Capri Sun, sipping them with his chocolate chip cookies while everybody pays no attention to him at the lunch table. That's the referee in AEW for tag matches. And every fucking body is in there doing all their flips, their dives, their cool moves, their sequences. And the crowd chants all their little chants. This is awesome. This is totally awesome. Right? They do their chants. They go on fucking line. They talk about what a 5-star classic they just watched. And then we do it again and again and again. And it's all these fucking matches being spit out like like water from a super soaker. It's redundancy at its highest peak, at its most amplified of measures. It is overdone. I said this for a long time. How many of these 5-star matches, I don't say the B word because I can't stand the B word, right? All these matches that are 5-star classics. Such great matches. Awesome matches, man. One after the other every single Wednesday. How How long is that going to go for before you finally just get tired of it and you want storylines? You want characters you give a fuck about? I was asking that question for months. I think we're already starting to see it. 824,000 viewers tells me that even their niche turned their backs on this company this week, and I do not blame them. There was nothing to view on this show. There was nothing you would need to go back and see. And I'm a big Christopher Daniels fan. You guys know that. And I am a big MJF fan. And they had a little segment that under any other circumstance I would have appreciated and loved. But it did nothing for Bryan Danielson MJF, which in 2 weeks is your main event for Revolution. And until Wednesday night, you guys want to hear some crazy shit? Until Wednesday night, that was the only match announced for Revolution. And I told you guys in that last vid I put up, I said, well, that means that tonight on Dynamite, because that last video was on Wednesday, I said tonight on Dynamite, they're going to have to just spit a bunch of weird matches at everybody. Because they don't have anything else and they only have 2 weeks of build. So be prepared to get a lot of fucking stupid, nonsensical matches. And what did we get on Wednesday? We got word that there's going to be a 4-team 4-way match at Revolution for the Guns Championships. We saw how well that went over. The company got panned last week for that decision, and then the Acclaimed is in this weird fucking 8-man tag that nobody gave a fuck about and lost over 100,000 viewers, by the way. Yeah, good job with your tag champs, the Acclaimed, who had all the momentum in the world. You have them lose a fucking match on Dynamite, clearly no injuries because they were right back wrestling the next week. It was just a stupid botched booking decision by the AEW boss. So the Acclaimed dropped their titles to fucking Austin and Colt Gunn. And then the next week you put the Acclaimed in a weird ass 8-man that lost 110,000 viewers. Look at Q1 to Q2. Look at Q1 to Q2. That is losing over 100,000 fans. And you only started with 930 some odd. You didn't even start with 1 million. The Big Bang Theory audience wanted to run away from AEW as fast as they can this week. That never happens. Usually you start off around 1 million. Little over. No. This week they were like, fuck that shit. I learned our lesson last week. This show sucks. And they ran away. And you only started with 930 some odd. And then you immediately lost 110,000 viewers because nobody gave a fuck about a sideshow circus. Start with you have Revolution in just 2 weeks. At that point, at the start of Dynamite, you only had one announced match, MJF and Danielson. And that's what you fucking do, Tony? That's what this dude does? To sell Revolution and to sell us on why we should stick around for 2 full hours on that night? You start us off with a fucking circus? And then you try to resurrect that in Q2 for Q3 with the BCC and Roosh and Preston Vance. Luckily, Mox draws. It got him a little bit back. And then from there on, it was just a roller coaster of nobody giving a fuck. You have Josh Witten, listen, loved old school ROH, love my Briscoes, Jay Lethal, Roxy, old school gang, man. But if you think Josh Woods is going to make people go, damn, this show, man, this is the AEW. Because of Preston Vance and Josh Woods, or Evil Uno. How about the segment where Evil Uno comes out and gets in Mox's face, and then Tony Khan 2 minutes later makes a match for next week? It's gonna be Mox versus Evil Uno. What are we doing, man? You have Miro waiting for the fucking phone call to come back to work. Lance Archer just said on social, like, I haven't worked in 78 days, not by choice. Lance Archer's waiting to come back. You got FTR, who's been treated like absolute dog shit, who finally came out and admitted, yeah, they just butted heads with Tony Khan a lot. They feel the relationship got a little better. But yeah, Tony Khan just kind of gave up on them for a while, and that's why you haven't seen FTR booked properly on Dynamite ever. Holding every other championship in the world for wrestling, never the AEW tag titles, never winning consistent matches on Dynamite, never even being on Dynamite as a tag team, and when they are, they lose. That's FTR. Wardlow, don't even begin to talk about Wardlow's botched booking 4 separate occasions. Gave a good little 2-minute story last night of why his hair means so much to him. And then they immediately cut to some bullshit. It is the weirdest booking imaginable, and it has been. This guy has so many people on his roster, and the ones that should be used sit at home. They sit at catering. They sit in the fucking parking lot. They sit in the middle of the road, maybe. Who the fuck knows? Twiddling their thumbs, trying to play in traffic. Because we're parading Preston Vance and Josh Woods and Dan Garcias and Wheeler Utahs and Darbies and Oranges and who the fuck knows? Jungle Boys out there last night. Jungle Boys taking on Brian Cage. Big Brian Cage, by the way. The match alone will make people tune out, and it did. Just look at the fucking rating. Look at the graph. But then you look at how Jungle Boy beat Brian Cage with a fucking roll-up. How is that believable? You see enough roll-ups in WWE on Raw. You need to tune in on Wednesday nights for the alternative of sports entertainment to see fucking Jungle Boy roll up Brian Cage, because that's believable. By the end of the night, you got fucking Ruby, Britt, Tony Storm, all in this triple threat. You got fucking Saraya out there spray painting the buns, the ass cheeks of Tony Storm, and then Storm runs butt first into Ruby's face. I guess it was supposed to put a fucking L, a green L print on her face maybe, but all people can now get, you see the thumbnail, you can't get the image of fucking Saraya spray painting the ass cheeks, the buns of Tony Storm. Well, this is what we said, what the fuck are they doing in WWE with Tony Storm, right? You remember when fucking Vince McMahon had Charlotte Flair put a pie in the face of Tony Storm, and Tony says, that's when I knew this was not for me. Charlotte puts a pie in the face of Tony Storm, and Tony Storm's like, I'm out. Well, now you're getting your fucking ass cheeks spray painted. You're getting a fucking loser symbol spray painted on your butt cheeks. Is that fucking any better than the pie in the face? Fuck they doing to you? What value has Saraya added, by the way? That's fucking sad. Khan doesn't know how to book. Guys, that's the problem. We thank him for starting a new promotion with Daddy's Money. That is awesome. That is epic. Let's keep it rocking, right? We were hoping for something fresh. You can call it an alternative all you want. You can call yourself competition, which Tony Khan has been doing all this week, by the way, in all of his interviews. He's been saying that there's a real war with WWE and the fans are loving it. Well, first of all, you have to actually be in their league to be considered to be in a war. You're nowhere near WWE right now. Do you know why? Because you're not concentrating on your company and you don't know how to run it. Booking-wise, creative-wise, you don't know what you're doing. That may sound harsh, but somebody's got to finally say, guys, there's a chance here. There's real chance for competition with AEW. They either don't want to be or they don't know how to be. So they just have a boss that goes out in interviews and just says that they are. We are competition. We are in a war. We are putting out our best shows ever the last month, because that's what Tony Khan just said 17 different times last week in interviews. He says, we are putting together the best string of shows in our company's short history. When the ratings tell you that they're putting on some of the worst shows in company history. And nobody follows the ratings more, aside from BC, than Tony Khan. He's the first one to see those ratings, even before the advertisers, even before the network execs on Thursday morning. Tony Khan is right there. 7 laptops are open, 4 desktops. He's got 6 different phones, and he's waiting for those ratings, right? 17 coffees are ready, because he's ready to tweet out how successful they are if they reach over 1 million. And if they don't, you don't hear from Tony Khan, do you? Tony Khan loves the numbers. Tony Khan loves the ratings, seeing them, talking about them, everything to do with those numbers. Tony Khan loves it. The one problem here is that he doesn't know how to get them up, or he just doesn't give a fuck. And he's literally so damn delusional that he's taking all of Dad's money. He's buying all of these fucking action figures that he's turning them into real life fucking wrestlers. And he's just putting his own show that he likes together. Well, fuck, if that's the case, you didn't have to start a wrestling promotion. You could just rent out a bingo hall every week. Save yourself a lot of fucking money. Bring all the wrestlers you want to see and book them. The match after match after match with no rhyme or reason philosophy has failed. Even the tried and trues are getting tired of it. The rating, they just lost 75,000 more viewers. Guys, that was their core. That's their tried and trues now. Over 950, those are casuals. We get it. Laps fans. The 850 to 950 is the high end of their actual tried and trues. Okay, now you just lost 75 to put you under 850. You're now under 825. You're at 824. You are now, if you lost another 75, for instance, right? Let's just say this debacle. What was that? 749,000? Something like that. You'd be under 750,000 viewers, guys. And everybody that laughs at NXT's 650 number-ish, well, you're only going to be 100,000 away from that. And we ain't talking Rampage, by the way. That's in the 300,000 viewership. We're talking Dynamite would be in the 700s at that point. And it's like this weird delusion in the industry, in the community, where we just go ahead and we overlook it. We turn a blind eye to it. We say ratings don't matter. We blame it on holidays or big games or birthdays or presidential speeches. Instead of saying, wow, a lot of viewers are not watching live. They don't feel the need to tune in every week. They're actually tuning out more and more every week. They're losing tens of thousands of viewers. Nobody wants to talk about it. Instead, you know what they say? These are the best wrestling shows AEW has ever been putting out. This is the greatest show this week. And then next week comes up and they go, this is the greatest AEW show ever. And then the next week they say the same thing. Every week is the greatest show. Tony Khan does interviews. He talks about a string of the best shows he's ever been producing. Tony Khan does interviews. He says he is direct competition to WWE and there's a real war. Brother, you're not even pulling in a third of his SmackDown viewership. SmackDown is pulling, they're doing 2.5 business. You can say it's because it's Fox broadcast all you want. Okay, they worked their way to that level. They're pulling in 2.5 viewership. These motherfuckers are playing around with 800,000. You times that by 3, you're fucking around with 2.4. You're not even 1/3 of SmackDown, but you're direct competition and you're a war? Right, you can't even pull in half of Monday Night Raw, and Monday Night Raw has sucked for 10 years. Stop doing all these interviews. Stop claiming that you're in a war and you're direct competition with WWE when you're not even in their league, bro. And I want to see you succeed. I want to be able to watch on Wednesday nights and enjoy what I am watching. I want to talk positively about it. I want to talk great about the fucking in the reviews. But let's get there. Let's take the necessary steps to have a fun, captivating, innovative promotion. Because right now, AEW sucks. It sucks. It is bad. It is a chore to get through. Rampage isn't even fucking viewable. Dynamite is a fucking chore. 2 hours, and I don't know what the fuck I am watching this for. I don't know why I need to see Mox and Evil Uno face to face, and then 2 minutes later, Tony says we're going to get that match next week. So what? For 7 days, I'm now anticipating Mox versus Evil Uno. And for 3 days, we're anticipating Preston Vance in a Texas Tornado match. What the fuck is What the fuck is a Preston Vance? Josh Woods is coming over from ROH. If you didn't watch ROH, why would anybody give a fuck? Well, that's their job to now study it, basically. They have to go and look at who Josh Woods is. Like when they bring in Take a Shitta and everybody else from New Japan, and now the audience has to do all their fucking homework instead of putting together nice video packages, giving a lot of history, building them up maybe in vignettes for several weeks. No, Tony Khan is entertaining for one. It's all, I mean, this dude literally, he has his little notebook and he just books this shit on what he would like to see on the fly. Revolution is in 2 weeks. Revolution is in 2 fucking weeks. And until the start of Dynamite, we only had 1 match. And now you have all these weird matches like the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match. Because Tony Khan finally realized, oh shit, fucking Austin and Colt probably are not going to put a lot of asses in seats with or without the titles. We just made the Acclaim drop the fuck. He's probably going to have the Acclaim get him right back at Revolution, right? Play some hot potato. Because he understands how big of a botch this was. So you have this weird fatal four-way tag team match thrown together. You have Wardlow and Samoa Joe now in another rematch for the fucking title. So Joe had it, then Darby had it, and then Joe had it. Or Wardlow had it, Joe had it, Darby had it, Joe had it, and now Wardlow, I guess, gets it back. I have no fucking idea what they're doing. Hot potato tag. Rematches after rematches. You're going to get Hangman Page and Mox out of nowhere for Revolution. I mean, Mox just came out after Hangman Page beat Kip Sabian. Oh yeah, that's a damn good Dynamite. Kip Sabian versus Hangman is going to really captivate your audience 2 weeks before Revolution. And then Mox comes out, and Mox and Hangman are like, this isn't done yet. You beat me with a fruit roll-up last time. Let's have it's going to be Texas Death or some shit. I don't even know what they're fucking doing, guys. Some fucking weird match so Mox can fucking bleed it. Mox doesn't need a gimmick match to bleed. Mox is busted open every fucking match. So Hangman and Mox are going to wrestle again in another rematch of a rematch. Maybe you get the Elite and House of Black. House of Black can't even get fucking called up right now. House of Black, they have this weird thing pop up on the TV and during one of the interviews or something like that, almost like a Bray Wyatt thing. Tony Khan does not know what to do with somebody like Malachi Black. That's somebody that you literally have to like feed every fucking week. They have to have something, right? You have to literally build a group like House of Black and Malachi, and they can be so special. But he doesn't do that. There's no consistency with Tony Khan. He'll put you on TV for a few weeks. He'll take you off for 2 months. He put you on for 2 months. You're gone for fucking 6 months. There's no consistency. Big stars are gone for fucking months at a time. Because he has a roster of 180 and nobody wants to fucking talk about any of the cracks in the wall, the holes in the game. No. Basically, he's just an asshole. Well, I don't give a fuck. You're damn right I am. The point is, everything I'm saying is true. And it's so factual that you're starting to get it literally smacking you in the face right now. Because now you can't even turn a blind eye. Their fucking core audience is leaving in droves. You're down to 824,000 in the ratings. Revolution is a pay-per-view that I would not give you $2. I wouldn't give you $2 to watch that shit. Revolution isn't worth $1.50. Maybe $1.25. Maybe. I watched that show Wednesday hoping to just be entertained. Out of state. I got the channel TBS. I'm like, you know what? Just entertain me, man. I got a coffee. I had a long day. Entertain me. And it was a fucking chore. Match after match that had no rhyme or reason. People in there, I would never pay 50 cents to go and watch live. I didn't know why I was wasting my time viewing it on prime time on a Wednesday night. Got fucking ladies spray painting each other's asses with fucking L's. I'm like, how is this an alternative to WWE? Y'all? That's sports entertainment. We're actual pro wrestling. Good luck with that, buddy. Because it's one and the same. You're going to need sports entertainment as part of wrestling because it's always been. You can't change what wrestling is. Wrestling just for the sake of wrestling will get you fucking nowhere. I've been saying that for months. I ended up being way more true than anybody even would possibly begin to fathom to give me credit for. But here we are. This isn't a pat on the back. I don't give a fuck if I was right or wrong, to be honest. These are things that I don't even want to be right about. I just know I'm going to be. Wrestling for the sake of wrestling. Putting on 5-star B-words. Oh yeah. That's going to run its course really fast when you don't have storylines, when you don't have larger-than-life characters, when you have no reason to watch. There is no reasoning to what we're viewing. Tony Khan is just chucking matches out there. Match after match after match so he can build his video library and one day have a full streaming service of content. That's his goal. He only cares about just delivering match after match after match so he can have a library. He said that many times. The problem is, if your show sucks so badly and you dip so badly, nobody's going to pay for your stupid streaming service because nobody wants to see your stupid matches from your stupid company. Get better, Tony. Get better, AEW. That is a dose of harsh truth. Somebody's got to say it because everybody else after these shows, they just go, wow, what a show. So much excellence tonight. Meanwhile, their own core audience is leaving by the tens of thousands, by the fucking droves. It's pathetic. With the talent that they have and the type of television deal that they have on TBS and the structure that they could have, there is no reason that that company isn't kicking ass right now. There's no reason that every Wednesday night, bare minimum, they're not pulling in 1.2 in the ratings. Their high end should be 1.5, 1.6. They should literally be competing with Monday Night Raw at least. Because their TV deal is so good. Because their roster should be so good right now. The resources that they have, top notch. There's no reason they should be almost in the 700. They're at 824. They just lost 75,000 viewers. If they lose 24,000 more, guys, they're in the 700,000s. I mean, I can't even believe I'm speaking these words, and I've been seeing this trend over the weeks and months. I've been telling you guys, I've been waving that red flag and saying, guys, something bad's happened with AEW. They're fucking drastically getting their ass whooped by their own fucking boss. It's internal sabotage, or he's just that fucking stupid and doesn't know what he's doing. And here we are, 824,000. 824. You go any lower, you're in the 700,000s. And everybody just wants to act like this is the best fucking show. This is great. And if you don't like it, then don't watch it. Well, the problem is that more and more people don't watch it. TBS pulls the plug. After a while, guys, it's going to end up like a WCW where eventually the plug is pulled on it, man. And you're not even going to have a promotion. We're trying to help. Listen and get it fixed. Fix this shit. There's no reason we all should not be enjoying AEW wrestling on Wednesday nights. I used to say not just the niche, but you know what? Even the niche now understands how bad this show is getting. Storylines are going to have to eventually be needed. They've been needed. Tony Khan doesn't know how to put together a fucking storyline. Wardlow MJF was the last captivating storyline that I saw. And now you just have weird shit like what happened with the Acclaimed last week. Weird shit like what happened with Tony Storm and Saraya this week in the spray painting buttocks incident. I don't even know what they're doing, man. This is some weird shit we used to see in the really bad Monday Night Raw days. Which unfortunately was just last year even. In the 24/7 title circus and all that shit. I mean, I'm just waiting now for Tony Khan to resurrect a 24/7 title concept. Get better. Do better. And for people that say, oh, it's because CM Punk's not back. Guys, CM Punk started with what? 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. He started with a big Bang Theory himself when he debuted. You know where they ended up when he left, guys? They were strictly in the 900,000s tops. They were not getting 1 million, not consistently for damn sure, and barely, if ever. They were always roughly 900,000s. They were right into that niche audience, guys. So CM Punk coming back wouldn't even be the answer. It would still get the same ratings. 900,000-ish would be the tops. And now you would just have the locker room in turmoil again. Because there's a lot of people that just don't like Punk. You would have to have another incident where they call a meeting, a talent meeting, because of one guy, Phil Brooks. That's not a good thing when you have to call a whole talent meeting for one person. We just saw it with Thunder Rosa. Tony Khan had to have a talent meeting with the ladies' locker room because Thunder Rosa is now back. That's how much of a poison Thunder Rosa was to so many people backstage. For a long time, people thought it was just Britt Baker and her crew. No, Jade Cargill's not part of Britt Baker's crew. And Cargill said the same thing that everybody was saying. Tony Storm wasn't a part of Baker's crew, and Tony Storm told you how she really felt about Rosa. The entire locker room was not high on her. And that's because some of the most unprofessional ladies matches I've ever witnessed had to do with Thunder Rosa. Not just sandbagging, but just not working, period, when she didn't feel like it. And making Everybody she was in that ring with looked like an absolute fucking idiot. Whether it's an Evilise or a Marina Shafir, or you could pick 10 more fucking names out of a hat. And now they have to call a company meeting, or at least the women's locker room has to come together so we can have a meeting because somebody's coming back. That's not good. And you'd have to do the same thing for Phil Brooks. That's it. Shit to do, business to attend to. BC caught the show. I was hoping for something better than what we've been getting. I was hoping to be entertained. Instead, we got more of the same, and Tony Khan even doubled down, and he just put together an even worse show than I've been seeing. And it clearly, by the looks of the ratings themselves, it looks like the majority of the wrestling world was with BC on this, and they felt the same fucking way. That shit's gotta change, and it's gotta change yesterday. SmackDown tonight, Elimination Chamber Saturday. Again, we out of state, but no matter what, you guys will be getting content. You'll be getting a SmackDown review, hopefully anyway, even if it's a little bit later tomorrow. And the Chamber review, even though it might be a little later, you will be getting that hopefully on Sunday. BC, top guy, and I'm out. The Amplified Man saying check you. Remember, think, be, live, amplified.